Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our official first call of our 6-week challenge group that Abby Jo and I put together. We are so excited, not only for the content over the next 6 weeks, but we brought probably, in my opinion, one of the best people to kick this off for you guys is Diamond Ambassador Lori Harrison. Because if there's anything she's taught me, it's how to start my day with a grateful heart. So I thought, let's really get it started with somebody who knows how to do it right. And we're talking about success leaving clues. So Lori, again, we are super grateful for you for being on this call with us. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be on here, you guys. I see people keep popping on, so that's great too. I took some notes, stuff that just popped into my head today. And I did it on this I have this notebook that says, today I'm grateful for. What? Thank you. We shut that door for me. Close it for me. Yeah. Okay. It's already going on in my house. So I have this notebook that says, today I'm grateful for. And then it just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Plexus ended up sending these out to the Jewels. But before they had done that, I think they had ones like around Thanksgiving time that had thankful for or whatever. But before that, I had started a gratitude challenge in the Jewels page, and just like daily challenging people because, you know, you can wake up sour-faced. It's real easy to do. And if you didn't wake up that way by the time, you know, you've made your coffee, usually something, you stumped your toe or something. And anyway, I guess Mary Ann from corporate had seen that we were doing that challenge, and she sent this little notepad to me. And so I use it all the time. It just has 5 little places where you can write down what you're grateful for. But today I turned it sideways so it doesn't have the little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I wrote something down. It'll leave an impression on you if I show it written down. First of all, this. You can do this business. Now I want to talk about that for just a second. This is you can see the notebook. It says, today I'm grateful for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Today I'm grateful for the fact that this business is pretty easy to do. And really what it comes down to is my second one. It's all about making the decision. No excuses. As long as you're still in the place, kind of a safety place or a place where you're like, well, you know, if it comes down to it, if this thing, you know, doesn't work out for me, all I wasted was $35. And that, if you feel that way and you know in the back of your mind that that still lives in the back of your mind, then you're still living in excuses land to where you can still make an excuse for why it didn't work for you. And you could tell your friends who didn't ever get on the train with you that, yeah, that didn't really work for me. That place, if you feel that you're still in that place, you'll know that that's that place that you haven't quite stepped outside your comfort zone and done something that you can't go back from. Like posting a picture of your toenail. You know, like once I did that, that's like the land of no return. It's like, I'm all in. This is what I've decided to do. I'm going to tell people about immune health, and I'm not going to turn back around and make excuses. There are no excuses to make. The only way that this business will fail me is if I give up. Okay? So then I wrote down this. It's all about making the decision, no excuses. And this is the most important thing. Especially, I think, for women, and that most of us are women working this business right now. This. Keep it simple. I see people who get on my team page and ask all the questions, like all the questions, like every question, like, what does this ingredient do? And then they want to know if my friend that has this and then she did this and then I didn't do this, and if I didn't do this and this comp plan did this, and then they ask all the questions, and I know that they're in that place of that's their comfort zone. They're studying, they're researching, they're asking all the questions, but they're not putting themselves out there at all, because if they were, they wouldn't have time to be asking all these questions. Okay? Now I have a team full of question asker, comfort zone people who are like, I feel comfortable as long as I feel like I'm doing something because I'm making myself more knowledgeable about the products, or maybe I'm making myself more knowledgeable about network marketing or whatever. It's great for you to grow personally, to do the things that are going to make you a richer, deeper person. So reading, learning, all of those things are important. But if at the same time you're not sticking your toe in the water, or better yet, jumping in the water, if you're not going to jump in the water, splash around and be like, I'm here, I'm in the water. Now I want to give you a great example of what I'm talking about being in the water or not being in the water. I noticed a huge change for people once I taught my team this. Huge change for them. The people that are afraid that someone might make fun of you or mock you or say something to you that you think, I don't know the answer to that, kind of push you about things and ask you questions you might not know the answers to. The thing about once you've jumped all the way in the water, it's rude. It becomes, instead of they're just challenging you, bullying you, suddenly it becomes rude. Now I'm going to explain why, and so you're going to see this picture. If you're thinking about becoming a Christian, or if you're thinking about becoming a vegetarian, people can still push at you and say, but really, are you? I mean, do you think that's really a smart choice? Vegetarian? That's kind of stupid, don't you think? You eat a lot of meat. Push. Once you're all the way in, like once you're in the Christian water and you're like, I'm a Christian, then for some people to come along and be like, that's stupid, isn't it? Then it's rude. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's this distinct difference of I still ride on the fence, or this is what I do now. If you want to lose that feeling of what if people come up and say something rude to me, get all the way in the water, because then at that point, it's offensive. So here's what I'm saying. Do you think that anybody ever says anything to me like, isn't that a pyramid scheme? If they know me, if they're my Facebook friend, they might think it, but they never say it. Because first of all, I'm living it. They know it's not a pyramid scheme. Secondly, the fact that I talk about it so freely and so openly, and I share my story all the time, that's the reason people, they don't have the nerve to say anything to me that would make me scared or fearful to do this business. Are you guys following me? I can't do it. Okay. So basically, jumping in with both feet and keeping things simple. It really comes down to, are you doing the activity to sponsor 3 new people every month? Are you doing the activity to get 3 new preferred customers every month? If you're doing those activities every month and then you're taking from January to February, you're converting or offering the opportunity to the customers that you signed up in December. Are you interested in getting a wholesale account? Would you be interested in talking about these products to some of your friends? Would you be interested in learning how to make enough money to pay for your products to the people that became your customers last month or the month before? As long as you're doing this flip-flopping thing and you're always converting new prospects, new customers into ambassadors, you'll always have a fresh stream coming into your funnel, and you'll always be producing new team members on the other side. The importance of that is, that's how simple it is. Like you can print yourself out a chart that looks like this, where you got all these boxes on it. And you're like, I don't know, did I do all this job did I do? Really, it comes down to, at the end of each month, did you sponsor some new people? Did you get some new people trying the product? Are you reaching out and following up with the people that you've already got on board? Because let me tell you right now, in this business, I would say, if I were to make a list of the very most important things that I've learned because of this business, in my top 5 things, for sure, learning how to keep people, the people that I've already gotten involved, keep them involved. I mean, the truth is, it comes down to, am I paying attention to people that already said yes to me? I used to really follow this idea of, well, it's easier to find new people than to resurrect the dead. But the truth is, it's a whole lot easier to never let them actually die in the first place. You have to follow up with people. You have to make sure that people are learning about new products. You want them on your team page, teaching them about, even if they're just wholesale ambassadors that are really just taking the products, you want them engaged on your team page, and you want to be treating them like they are an important and valuable part of what you're building, because they are, not just in the form of points. We know that they count as points for us, but they're very important to us in the form of team culture. Now, what I mean, team culture is a big thing for me. I'm going to explain that to you really quick. Even if you just have 2 or 3 people on your team and you've created a team page, or if you're not yet you don't yet have a team page, beginning to dream about and think about what you want your team culture to be like, the type of camaraderie you want to have on your team, the way you want people to all have a one plexus spirit, where one person can ask a question and other people don't mind chipping in to answer the questions on your team page. To me, that's a beautiful, it's self-sustaining, a team page that kind of self-sustains itself. In the beginning, I had to answer all the questions for everybody because I didn't know that I needed to create, and I did that by answering all the questions. It took me a little while to figure out that maybe if I would wait and not jump on those questions so quick and give everybody, 30 minutes or something to let someone else answer, and that let other people know that it's their page too. It's not just my team. We're all a team together. So to me, those were the things that were on my heart today about, I'm just going to go back over these 3 things, and then I'm going to get into what we're really supposed to be talking about tonight. You can do this business. It's not rocket science, I promise you. If you want a great positive affirmation to put on your mirror, I can do this business would be a great one. It's all about making decisions, no excuses. And keep it simple. Those are the 3 things that I wanted to lead with tonight. Now, my favorite thing in the world to talk about that I think makes the most impact, and here's the clincher. It doesn't make the impact on everyone. If you're on this call tonight and you decide not to listen and implement what I'm about to tell you, then you won't be one of the people that's impacted by it. But the people who take what I'm about to talk to you about and implement it in their lives, in their marriages, at their day jobs, and in this business, those are the people that I see begin to have a steady current stream of positive things happen in their life. And it's all about gratitude. Now, the first time I ever had somebody talk to me about gratitude, it almost like washed over me. I remember thinking, well, yeah, I'm grateful. Do I seem like I'm spoiled? I'm wondering why they're talking to me about gratitude. Or are they picking up a vibe from me that makes them think that I need to be taught about gratitude? Well, I've definitely had stages like that in my life. When I was younger, I was very, what do you call it when people are entitled? I felt very entitled at different times in my life. But at this stage in my life, the first time I really had someone speak to me about gratitude, it kind of passed by me, and I wish I had listened better that time. Because really, gratitude, it can be about that. But what I'm talking to you about gratitude tonight is not about whether you're grateful enough for the things that you have in your life. That can be a portion of it. Rather, it is about, can you look at things that happened in the past with 2020 vision in regards to lessons that you've learned? Do you have a positive mindset and takeaways from things that you think, maybe you went through something that was tragic in your life, and at the time it seemed like, it was going to get you. That thing was going to be the end of you, or it was going to make your life completely miserable down the road. And then you can look back on it and be like, actually, no, it didn't get me at all. And the truth is, I learned so much from that situation. It matured me. It prepared me for something greater. This business is like the number one thing I can think of, even above and beyond a college education, for maturing, self-development, personal growth, understanding people and relationships, and to really begin to put things in perspective. So I started this thing where every morning I wake up and I do 3 minutes intentionally before I do anything else. Sometimes I have to do this while I'm peeing because sometimes you have to pee first, right? So first time I ever taught this, I'm like, it's the first thing I do every morning. And I had a bunch of people say, I can't do that for 3 minutes. By the time I wake up, I got to pee. Well, I usually have already gotten up at some point in the morning and I've already gone to pee. So this is like when I wake up. Whatever fits your routine, I want you to think about this being the one thing that changes for you. Every morning when I wake up, I do an intentional 3 minutes of gratitude. If you're a person who has never really intentionally practiced gratitude, this may seem so foreign to you. You may be like, literally like walking around it. You're like, what is this? Is this like the chocolate factory? I don't even know what I'm doing here. So it may start out like, God, I'm thankful for the sky is blue. I'm thankful that I have a house and air conditioning. And you do something that kind of stumbles around like that for 3 minutes. That's okay. That's what it will look like for most people in the beginning. But you will notice on the days that you do it, it will frame your day. It's even better than brushing your teeth. Can you believe this? Do you notice on the days that you do brush your teeth that your day is a lot better, right? Put this in the priority list with brushing your teeth. Frame your day with gratitude. A lot of people like to do gratitude at night, which is also great. I mean, thanking God for like while you're praying. That's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. But isn't it even all the greater to open your day with that, since you're fixing to have to walk through the entire day, and to frame your day a different way? Now, I have this thing that I do where I'm like, I try to really focus, because I have a mind, and probably a lot of us do. I think kind of cell phones make us worse, that we have this kind of scatterbrain thing going on. Are you ever looking at your cell phone, and if a window doesn't pop open enough, quick enough, you're like, click, 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 refresh. And like, you see how it took me 5 seconds to refresh it like 10 times, because I'm impatient. And so our brains are sort of trained these days to be impatient. And so you'll notice the first time that you do 3 minutes of gratitude, your brain's going to go, and anyway, today I have to go to the grocery store. And you go, oh, no, focus. I got to get back on gratitude. Gosh, this is harder than I thought. I promise you this will happen to you, okay? But over time, what happens, this is, by the way, what I'm telling you about right now, this is the thing that washed over me, the portion of gratitude that the person who was teaching me about this in the first place, I let it fly right over my head. I didn't go back and like fish it back out, the concept, for a long time. And I literally, the time that lapsed from when I was told about it until now, I could kick my own butt that I didn't pay attention the first time somebody told me this, because it seemed like to me, yeah, okay, right. That sounds super for you. That sounds crazy. I don't see how that could actually make a difference. But I believe in something, I don't really know what to call this, because sometimes people of faith get a little twisted up in something that most people would understand what I was saying if I called it the law of attraction. I don't know if that in and of itself, and in the way that it's taught on all of the websites out there, I don't know if it's all biblical. I just know that the way I look at it and the way I frame it is biblical. I believe that our bodies the human body is created with like frequency. I'm fixing to get out there. Y'all can follow me. I'm going to swim out in the waves. I'll drag you out there and then I'll bring you safely back. Okay. I believe that the human body is created out of like, well, whatever the Bible says. There's all kinds of interesting things, but also there is frequency. And our heart, the magnetic power of the human heart is the most powerful magnetic force in the world, in the universe. And so it goes out in the shape of a donut all the way around us. So says science. I'm not making this up. This is true. And for what scientists can tell, it reaches at least 5 feet out from us in every direction, up, down, and on every side of us. For 5 feet, our own magnetic field is reaching out. And I believe that whatever you're putting into that field, like if you're putting, woe is me, Nothing ever goes right for me. My husband is a jerk. My job totally sucks. My coworkers all hate me. If that's what you're putting out into what is the most powerful magnetic field in the world, it's a magnet. You're going to magnetize more of that to you because it's all about lessons. It's all about gratitude. It's all about coming back to, okay, did I learn anything from the last time? Now, think about this for a second. Do you know people in your life who all the bad things happen to them? Maybe a neighbor or brother-in-law, and like always. If there's going to be something tragic and awful, you know for sure. Like you don't even have to read who the text message is from. You can read what happened. You're like, that's totally my brother-in-law. I know. I wouldn't even have to see his name on the text message because all the bad things. He loses all the jobs. The girlfriends always cheat on him. He always gets screwed on money deals. These type of things, they happen to the same people. This is just my opinion. I've tested this out and I think it's true. These types of things happen to the same people because it's like a lesson. It's an opportunity to learn that was a lesson. It's an opportunity to learn that was a lesson, and that maybe I should lift up gratitude for the lesson rather than whine about the circumstance. And the gratitude is now the magnet that you're putting out. Now, this is all a little woo-woo out there, right? I understand, because the first time, like I said, it passed right by me. It flew by me on a plane. I let it fly right by me, and I didn't reach out to grab it for a long, long time. And then when I did, my life changed, and now I teach it. Like, literally, if Plexus went away, I could teach this. Literally, I could be like, guess what? I could teach you about gratitude, and you could still, like, you could do your nursing job. You could do your school teaching job, and you could have powerful influence, finances, and all of these things in your life because you change this one thing. To me, it's the coolest thing because I can teach it to people. They can completely change their marriage just by learning this concept. Learning that whatever their brain is telling them is going on in their life, more of will continue to happen. Did that sentence make sense? Whatever your brain is telling you, tragedy, 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 or dang it, I need to get my stuff together because I need to realize that this is a lesson season and I keep getting lesson seasons. And especially if the lesson season in chapter 3 looks just like chapter 2, I should figure this out. What is it? Okay, do I have a magnet that attracts poverty? Do I have a magnet that is my magnet attracting victim circumstances? And in each single situation, I'm going to give you another tool aside from 3 minutes of gratitude because you think, man, that seems awfully simple. It does seem awfully simple. When you start trying it, you'll realize how much you don't really do that naturally. Maybe some of you do naturally. Another powerful tool is to write things that are opposite of the bad things you say to yourself about yourself. Put them on your mirrors, put them on your visor in your car. If you have like little index cards, stick it to your steering wheel. Places that you know that you talk trash to yourself, like maybe you have a commute on the way to work or on the way home from work. And that's the time that you're by yourself and you overanalyze things and you blame yourself from things. And then next thing you know, you've brought on this whole magnetic power of yuck. Put notes to yourself in places that will remind you to quit doing that. Like my mom used to say, if I need to do that in the morning, I better put a note in my makeup bag. Now, she wasn't talking about gratitude. She was talking about remembering to take something to school because she was a school teacher. If I put the note in my makeup bag, she knew she would see it because she knew she was going to put her makeup on in the morning. Hell or high water, makeup's going on. You know what I'm saying? So if putting something on your makeup bag, literally, if you got a makeup bag, what's it going to hurt? Write it in a Sharpie marker right on top of your makeup bag. I am enough. My body is health. This is a big one. So many people walk around, even if they're on Plexus, so many people walk around aches and pains or whatever, and they grab onto this concept, and it completely changes their life. I really encourage you to make yourself a dream board. If you haven't, I don't know if have you guys gone over that kind of thing, or am I taking over or something? Okay. I won't tell you how to do it. I'll just tell you the importance of make yourself a dream board, put your goals in front of you. And the number one thing that when I made my first dream board, I've always got it sitting around here somewhere. I'll show you real quick. I want to show you. It's dusty. Okay, so I was a photographer when I started, so I could make these little collages and print them out on like this board paper stuff. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing. I'm going to show you a couple things because, by the way, I'm not giving you a great example here. I'm going to talk you through this. This was my first one. I wish I had done it different. Okay, so I put. Can you see this? Let's see. See that fancy house right there? I totally thought I wanted that house, especially once we started making a little bit of money. I was like, ooh, I want to live in a cabin, do all the Christmases up in here. You know what I'm saying? I want to invite all my family. I can invite all my family and my neighbor's family, and we wouldn't fill that up. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking. Now, I don't have any problem with anybody who, if that is what would motivate you and inspire you, then that's what you should put on your dream board. It just happened to be that I thought that's what I wanted. And now I look at it and I go, man, that's a lot of toilets. That's a lot of shelves to dust. It's not for me. Okay. Show you something else. See this swimming pool? I thought I wanted that. Turns out I did. I totally wanted that. I have that now and I love it. My family spends a ton of time in it. That was probably the most motivating factor on this dream board. By the way, I encourage you, unless they tell you otherwise, to actually get out like magazines and cut stuff out and glue things on. Like there's something about the actual doing, the creative power of doing with your hands that makes it even like stick in your brain even more, you know? Let me see what else, if there's anything else in here. Oh yeah, a garden. This was a picture of my garden that year. And that to me represented a lot of things. First of all, it represented the first chunk of cash that I made with Plexus that I saved up. The first thing I bought with it was a tractor. Now talk about a business, talk about this business model maturing you, okay? My brain went from, ooh, all the purses, I can't wait to have all the earrings and the other stuff. And I did like that stuff. But when I realized I really want a garden, I thought, only way I can really have a garden is if I have a tractor, because I'm not going to get out there and do it all by hand. And so we saved up cash. My best friend's dad had passed away, and her mom was getting rid of a good tractor. I knew how much money they wanted for it, and I knew they wanted cash for it. And so I told her, hang on to it for a couple of months. I can buy it. It was a nice tractor. We paid a good amount of money for it. What I'm wanting you to think past, and I want you to think past the Lexus. I want you to think past the vacation. I want you to think past anything that would put you in debt. Because when I want you to be able to close your eyes, and when you think of what motivates you, I want it to be something that is so spicy and amazing that you would do it, that you would do this would be what you would dream of doing, and how you would want to spend your time if money was not an object. So for example, if you would like to do some sort of ministry work, or if you would like to volunteer your time, that's one of the big things that really motivates me. Is I like to have the time freedom. Maybe you want to be a homeroom mother, and that's something that you can't do. Do they still call it that? Homeroom mother? Is that something that they call it? Okay. As I said that, I thought that sounded weird. If you want to be the class mom that does the parties, and if you want to have the ability to have some time freedom so that you can actually organize things for your kids or for other, like the neighborhood kids, and you can, I'm just thinking of all the types of things that I didn't think to put on my dream board that really were motivating factors, but I didn't see them on other people's dream boards, and it never actually registered in my mind that that would really motivate me. There's nothing wrong with, purses and shoes motivating you too, because I've got some actually weirder things than purses and shoes that actually motivate me that are things. But I want you to think outside the things, to think of things that you think, man, my inner Christmas tree would be lit up all day long if I was able to do this with my time. If I was able to do that with my time, if I knew that I could give back in a certain organization, or create your own organization, or whatever, or even if you could just stay home with your kids without the worry of finances, that's a lot of people's inner Christmas tree. And that's what I pray over you guys, is that you're thinking outside the box enough, that you're motivated enough to get outside your comfort zone with this business, because there are things that I know about this business. The products work better than anything I've ever seen in my life. The compensation plan is the most generous compensation plan of all the compensation plans out there. So when you couple those two things together, did you know that I could work with either or? Like, I'm glad I don't have to, but if I only had the most amazing products in the world and the compensation plan paid out half as much as it did, I could still make this business work. If the compensation plan, and say it like this, if the products, if I had to sell something like things I don't want to actually sell, like things, let's say candles or purses or makeup, nothing wrong with selling those things, but if I had to sell one of those things and had this kind of compensation plan, I could make that work. The fact that we have both, don't ever get sidetracked by somebody trying to come along, put a hook in your mouth and being like, come over here, look at what I got. We got it all. We have the very best of both worlds. You can't ask for more than that. The only thing you have to do in this business is keep it simple, get over yourself, and have dreams that are big enough that'll propel you through when things are hard. You know, we go through seasons with this company, with this business. You go through actual seasons, like I'm saying literally like summertime, or you go through Christmas or whatever, when sometimes you're like, is it always kind of slow during this season? Well, seasons, yeah, sometimes it is. But if you have a powerful enough why behind why you do the business, and you have big enough goals and dreams, your motor keeps running during those times, and you don't have to look outside of what we have here in order to stay in forward motion. God, I'm really talking a lot. I'm sorry. I feel myself going, feel like I drank coffee. Okay. I'm curious, like I don't know what this group that you have, are these relatively new ambassadors? Is it a mix?
We have a mix. So they could be brand new ambassadors. They could be ambassadors who've been around for a while. They're looking to kind of kick it up. We took the last 6 weeks of the Leaders Retreat Challenge or contest to kind of spearhead this. But really, it's all aspects. We've got people who are brand spanking new, and we've got people, even like myself, that are doing the challenge because, just because I'm an emerald doesn't mean I can't grow. So,
right.
And everything in between. Okay.
So I want to say one more thing. If you have questions, I don't mind talking about whatever, but I have one more thing that's like bubbling up in me. Because it's almost impossible for me to do a call without talking about the relevance of making your immune system go. Make your immune system do the best job that it can. And your whole family, to be honest with you, like when I talk about the way that the products work, the fact is, if your immune system is working, it's way more difficult for you to stay sick if you are sick. It's way more difficult for you to get sick if you are not sick already. And I feel like this is a family thing. I thank God every day that in the last 5 years, my family hasn't had to go to the doctor. None of us. In fact, occasionally my husband has to go to the chiropractor. He rides his bicycle like a maniac, like jumps it over things like he's 15 years old. So from time to time, Abby Jo knows him, so she's laughing at this. But so from time to time, he's getting adjusted. One time last year, he got bit by a spider and he ended up in the doctor. Other than that, I mean, that's an accident, basically. Like, that was not anything that he had any control over. And when he did, they gave him an antibiotic, and it was a scary enough spider bite that he ended up taking it. And after that was the first time he's been sick in 5 years, because that antibiotic killed his his gut microbiome and made him vulnerable to whatever was going around last winter. So I really want you guys that haven't already, I'm not going to go through the gamut of how our products work, because you can watch videos about that, and I don't want to take up time and do that, but I want to stress the importance of really understanding that if somebody comes to you and they say something like, I have XYZ, do you think Plexus will help? The answer is always probably. The reason the answer is probably is simple. If your immune system is turned on, what could be against you? I mean, the fact is the majority of people have taken antibiotics or steroids or something that has compromised their immune system and allowed a fungal infection to take over in their colon. And your colon is where the majority of your immune function is. So if it's invaded by a fungal infection, then it's not the boss anymore. The candida or the fungal overgrowth is the boss. So you have the choice to get on these products, regain your immune function, and stay healthy. If you don't actually believe that, there's something to that too, to be honest with you. I find that the people who believe that they can get well a lot easier. Now I want to tell you that really quick. My sister, when we first got involved with Plexus, my sister was very sick during that time. I couldn't find any stories about people who had what she had, which was a strong reaction to gluten, like deadly reaction every time she ate gluten. She'd been that way for 7 years. And then when I scoured Facebook, I looked all over the internet, everywhere. I was asking in all the groups that I could, does anybody know of any testimonies about this? No one had heard of it. Now, mind you, there were people who had the problem and were taking Plexus products. But I finally convinced my sister through a series of a long story. Literally took me a year to convince her to try it, consistently stay on the products. And it took her a month to get well from this thing she'd been struggling with for 7 years. So if you've not ever struggled with a gluten sensitivity, then you can imagine all the things that you can't eat if you can't have wheat. So bread, anything that's made in a package, almost everything that's packaged has some sort of wheat or gluten in it. And she wasn't able to have, the first thing that she went to eat once we figured out she was well, she was like, I haven't had a bean burrito in 7 years, or a biscuit, or a cinnamon roll, or anything, any kind of breakfast food, or, all these things that you kind of take for granted when you don't have a gluten sensitivity. Well, after she got well, it took 1 month for her to get well. After that, I started, putting the feelers out, being like, hey, you people who said that y'all have that problem that you can't get well, get this, my sister got well. She did. And all these people start saying, really? What? Nobody had ever made us think that was possible. And by actually, that thing I was talking about earlier that's shaped like a donut that comes outside you, that magnetic power of frequency, the power of suggestion is just as powerful. The fact that I mentioned it was a possibility, we have tens of thousands of testimonies about it now, all from my sister who's too stubborn to work the business. She has one of the most powerful testimonies in the world, and she won't work the business. But that's fine. I told her, I said, you can just be the motor for my business because I tell your story all the time. So the relevance of our products are, if someone is sick and they want to work and it, then you need to be sharing Plexus with them. If someone is sick and asks you if the products could work for them, the answer is most likely. I've seen them work for crazy things, like all the things that you'd put in a box and say, probably not. I've seen it work. So, okay, I do want to ask, I guess, do you guys have any questions? I'm just, at this point now, I've rattled.
That's okay. It was all amazing stuff. If you guys want to unmute yourself if you have questions, or if you want to pop into the chat, I know it could get a little crazy if we have everybody jump in, but this is a chance for you guys to ask somebody that you probably haven't had on a call to ask a question of. I mean, if there's anyone who knows about gut health, it's our girl Lori. I mean, this is something that she's incredibly passionate about. She and I bonded over, her sister and I have the exact same issue. I don't have that issue either anymore. But I didn't even think to even try. Like, I knew I wasn't getting sick, but I didn't know that I could try something and I wouldn't get sick, because I would immediately end up with allergy-induced asthmatic bronchitis, and had no idea that these products, I thought they were just all weight loss related when I started, right? I mean, we forget how powerful. I mean, I want to reiterate what you said, Lori, because I think it's so amazing that we have such an amazing product and we have such an amazing comp plan. I mean, if you are new and on this call and you haven't quite built that belief yet, there's plenty of us that'll be able to build that belief within you. But almost every single one of us would say, if for some reason we weren't making money with Plexus anymore, we would still take these products because they're that amazing. I mean, I would never want to go back to the way I was 3.5 years ago. Not in a million years. Not the weight, not the health, not the stress level, not the addiction to 3 pots of coffee a day. I mean, just, that's what we want to build in you guys. You've got to build that belief, but really, truly, you've got to be grateful for what you have. I mean, that's what I wanted Lori to bring to this call for you guys. That's why I wanted you guys to think about success leaves clues. That's what we're talking about. So do you guys have questions? It doesn't look like everybody gets really quiet as soon as you ask do you have questions? Isn't that
Someone's waving their hand. Kimmy.
Hi, Lori. Okay, my question is, how would you reply to someone who says, oh, well, I use essential oils?
Okay, it would depend on the backstory there. Like, they use them for what? You know, like
everything, like for their health and well-being.
Well, I don't have any problem. I'm not telling you how to answer them. I'm just going to tell you, I don't have any problem with people using essential oils. I think that I personally use essential oils, and I think that they're great. I haven't seen the magnitude of testimonies that you see with our products using essential oils, but that's not to say that they can't be used in harmony with each other, to be honest with you. If it's someone who works that as a business, they would be blown away by our compensation plan because there's no comparison. So if someone says, I already use essential oils, I would just say something like, how do they work for you? What do you use them for? Those types of questions. Question asking is like key in this business because it puts you in a position to maybe learn something yourself. And also it keeps the conversation going, because the longer you keep a conversation going without being salesy, people start out at the threshold of, she's trying to sell me something, so I have my wall up. My wall is really high. And as they feel safe in the conversation with you back and forth, they begin to let their defenses down a little bit and a little bit more until they finally are actually willing to maybe listen to what you have to say. But to me, it's not really about answering the question right or knowing the right things to say. Because honestly, when people know the right things to say, those are the people who call you on the phone in the middle of the day and you don't want to talk to them. That are like that are like selling you vacations or something like that. They know all the right things to say. They know all the right answers, and you hang up on them. That's not what you want to be. You want to be very relationship driven. You want them to know that you actually care about, why are they taking essential oils, or using, not taking necessarily. What are they using them for? Because right there, you're going to gain a piece of your puzzle by learning what kind of health issues they struggle with. And even then, if they were to say, well, I use it for my psoriasis or my asthma, rather than maybe doing what might seem like the natural thing to do and jump in there and be like, oh, I know something great that works for that. The gliding of more questions is really the thing to do. Or maybe just interaction. It doesn't have to always be a question, but going back and forth with them and letting them share a little bit about themselves. Does that help at all? To me, that's the strongest way to do it.
Yeah, okay. It definitely does. It's kind of like, don't try to be the solution. Just continue to listen.
Yes. Now, well, I find that even if you, this is so important, even if you end a conversation and nothing impactful has happened, like they didn't order your product, they didn't join your team, and they didn't agree to get on a 7-day trial, if you left it harmonious like that, and we're like, it was good talking to you, that type of tone, they are more likely to watch your post and be listening. have an open ear to what you say about it. And I have had, especially in the last 3 months, I've had so many people who initially, like back in 2012, asked me a question. I communicated with them a little bit. And now, 5 years later, I know that sounds like really dramatic and crazy, but these were people that I didn't even know if we were still friends anymore. They weren't really on my radar at all. And they'll send me a message and say, hey, I've been watching you. I saw something you posted. It has me really curious because my mom struggles with this. And basically, because I never had a negative interaction with that person, and I kept it lighthearted, here I'm reaping some of what I had sown all that time ago. Sometimes it doesn't take 5 years, thank God. Lots of times it'll be just a couple of months or something. But I feel like it's all about positive interaction with people and not feeling pressured to sign them right then. Like, I feel like we scare more people away. I mean, it's fun to get them in a 7-day group, I feel that, or like in a 21-day challenge or something like that. Those are pretty benign things where people don't feel too scared by you offering the chance to let them in that. But the whole like pouncing on people when they're just starting to reach out to you, I feel like you have to keep those interactions. Also, the thing I was talking about earlier, where you are constantly converting a new or customers who've tried the products for a while and you're converting them into team members. I feel like that system goes much easier when you are what they call, you're always adding people to the funnel, meaning you're always reaching out to people. You're always having conversations with people. The more people you have interactions going on with, the less you feel like a panic when someone reaches out to you. Because if you only have one prospect in the funnel, it's your only chance to get a new prospect, then you feel like you have to claw at them like a tiger or whatever and get their. But if you have like tons going on, it's like dating. Be like, I got lots of prospects. You know what I'm saying? Like lots of people interested in what I do, and it doesn't feel like you have to be pouncing on people. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Hey, Trisha. It's Kim. Hey, my husband has a question for Lori.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, Lori.
Well, first of all, Kim and I would like to say we're grateful for groups like this, and thank you, Abby Jo and Trisha and Lori for coming on and putting this together tonight. My question, Lori, is how do you and Jetty encourage people on your team to duplicate what you're doing? I mean, how do you push them towards that?
Well, maybe you could write me a book on it, and then I would know. I will give you my best practices, the things that I see. It's not always, this is something I'm learning about. Duplication was not something I was good at in the beginning. When I say the beginning, I mean the first 3 years. And the reason, there's a ton of reasons, but most of those would be they're going to look like excuses, but the fact is I had no idea what I was doing. So you can have the tendency to feel like, oh my gosh, all those people that escaped this gorgeous duplication process that I am planning on implementing now, or you can just start it now. And what I feel like duplication looks like is, in the beginning, you have to get people. It's best if you can get people money in their hand right away. Get someone to silver or help them get a customer. Anything that helps people right in the beginning feel some sort of success. Now, I really like and you guys are familiar with what our team is doing. I like the fact that we're doing, we're kind of floating back and forth between, like trial groups and that kind of thing. So that's something that's helping to be duplicatable, because in the beginning, when a person is new, the boogeyman that can jump out of the shrubs and get them is the fact that they don't know what they're doing, and they feel like they don't know what they're doing. So in the beginning, if you are doing for them what they don't know how to do by putting on events or calls or training groups or anything that allows people to see people who've been with the business for a while interacting and doing their thing. I wish I had a better system. The problem is you've asked an artist a completely opposite of artist question. Jetty would be able to tell you a lot better than I would in regards to how to keep he's the one that looks in the back office, looks at reports. He knows all the numbers and how things are going with numbers. And I'm the one that's all like dreaming up a new idea of ways that we can interact with our people. So that was a really scattered answer to your question, but I feel like I'm learning the answer to that question every single day. I don't really know I bet Trisha's way better at it than I am, honestly, at duplication. So.
Okay, sure.
Over to you, Trisha. Just kidding.
I don't know how great I am at it. I think we all learn because just like you mentioned at the beginning of this call, Lori, where you were talking about there's so much growth that happens in this business.
Yes.
You know, I manage in my day job, right? So in that job, I feel like I can duplicate all day long, but I've been doing it for 20 years. So in 3.5 years, boy, let me tell you, it's like the first time I became a manager in this business. In the beginning, I was like doing whatever I could try to make it work. I did what I thought I worked in my day job, and it didn't quite work in my, Plexus job. And then you learn, okay, let's try this. And each time it's evolving. So you've got to also look at what works for you guys, because what works for Lori and Jetty may not work for you guys. What works for me may not work for you, because we're all different people, right? So that's why we love doing groups like this, because you guys get a chance to hear what different people do, and maybe that works better for you. I mean, there's been times where I've gone, wow, that sounds like a great idea. And then I tried to implement it, and it was like, it went over like a lead balloon. Like nobody was engaged. Everybody was like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're going to do the same thing we've always done. So it's not that they're not great ideas. It's just sometimes it's just not the right time to implement it, or you might not have the right people with you to implement it. So I don't know if Abby Jo has anything else that she maybe wants to add to that or not. I know you're not on, I know you're muted, but.
Yeah, what you said. I'm the blue personality that kind of goes all over. So listen to Trisha and Lori.
Well, I did think of one smart thing to say. I want to say my one smart thing. I think that this business works a lot better in regards to duplication and everything. And I'm not saying this to you guys at all. I'm saying, but for everyone that's listening, once you've made the decision that this business is going to be the thing, even if it's just going to be the thing that gets you out of debt, it doesn't have to be that you quit your job. But once you decide that this is it, all those answers, all the answers to the questions that you have in your mind seem to come into focus. And what I mean by that is, have you ever had a list, like you have a shopping list and a list of other errands that you have to run, and you have like 40 things that you need to get done that day, and you accidentally lock your keys in your car, and what was going to be a 5-hour window turns into a 2-hour window, and you're like, okay, well, hyper-focus. What was actually important on this list? And everything comes into focus in a way that you can't do, kind of like writing a term paper the night before when you should have written it 3 months before. Everything becomes hyper-focused when you decide, I'm not going to make any excuses. For a man, here's what I'd say. This is not my wife's business. This is my business too. For, you know what I'm saying? Like taking on the responsibility as though this is not a hobby. This is what I do now. This is the horse that I ride. Does that make sense? Like if I were going to really get my husband in here and be like, Jetty, what do you think? What would you say was the dividing line when it was all about making the decision? Now, it took him a while in the beginning. Like even I hadn't made the decision, in the beginning, like I was putting my feelers out there, seeing if there was a market for it. But once we both made the decision that we were all in, all the other stuff comes into focus, and you start thinking, okay, I think I know how to make things duplicate. And you might do some things wrong in the beginning, but at least you're hyper-focused. That makes sense?
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so you have the Facebook people that you've been watching, and they post all about how horrible they are, and you know all the bad things that are happening to them, and you know that your products would help them. The woe is me people.
Yeah.
Do you reach out on their pages or in private messages? How do you do that? Especially if they're like your chicken people.
Okay. How I handle that, and I'm way better at this now than I used to be. If I see someone who's posting about things that I just can't keep my mouth shut about, it's hard for me now. Now that I'm a product person though, so when somebody's sick, it's like I feel guilty, to be honest with you, and so I let my guilt drive me. And I will message them and say, hey, depends on my relationship with them, if I know them well or not, but I try to keep it in a kind of a conversational tone, and I say, hey, if you have 5 minutes, I'd love to send you some testimonies of people who have tried something that's actually worked for them, that worked for them, that have the same thing going on that you do. Simple as that. And just let them answer. Yeah, I have 5 minutes, or I don't. They're mostly they're going to tell you, okay, well, what is it? And the truth is, in not every single answer, hold off with me here, it's not always going to be the word in itself, plexus. When I'm messaging someone, I'm more likely to say, read these testimonies, and because really what they might need might be ease, or it might be ProBio 5. I've been known to tell people a certain essential oil, to be honest with you, but I'm saying the more that you're, the less that you can be salesy and immediately make them think about the fact that you're selling something. I feel that's the best way to go. I also will sometimes say to them, if they ask me a question before I send them, like, what is it? I say, have you ever heard of ProBio 5? Because a lot of times, unless you're putting that on your wall every single day, ProBio 5, they'll be like, no, I haven't. What is that? So that opens another door, another avenue of things that you can talk about besides just the testimonies. You can talk about the testimonies, and you can send them particular information. You don't want to overload people with information. You want to keep it simple. Okay. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not muted. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, gosh, Lori, this has been an amazing, amazing call. I mean, we went from how to start our day and how to start our business and start it with gratitude, and 3 really great steps on what we should kind of think on, to like some amazing, business type questions to help us move our business forward, whether as a leader or as gaining customers. So this has been an amazing, amazing call. I want to thank you all on behalf of Abby Jo and I as well for being part of this call and allowing Lori and us to pour into you guys. We are so excited to have you guys, and I'm really looking forward to us continuing. Again, we've got our challenges that we've already put in for points and stuff for this week. So make sure you go to the pin posts and check those. And Abby Jo and I will be checking that on Sunday to give out our first prize for the week. So again, thank you, Lori, so much for being part of our call today. Y'all have an amazing, amazing night. Abby Jo, did you have anything before I knock it off the call?
Nope, that is it.
All right, good deal. And your hair looks beautiful, by the way, tonight.
It does.
Curls, right? All right, y'all, have an amazing night, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Good night, guys. Thank you, Lori.